Case Study 0012, Planet Dune, with homie Jake Quickel. A mission to rescue a marooned base on a desert planet turns deadly when the crew find themselves hunted and attacked by the planet's apex predators, giant sandworms. All right. So, Jake, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
All right.
How did this movie affect you?
It's so long, yet it's not very long.
That's very true.
It's about 124 minutes, I think, without credits. And I was surprised that I was like that. My attention span is usually better.
It was like jumbo shrimp.
You think?
Yeah, it didn't make any sense that it shouldn't exist like that in time
Right,
and space.
right. Okay, yeah.
I have to admit something before we get started talking about this movie.
Go for it.
I have a huge catalog of popular movies that I've never seen.
Oh, okay.
I've never seen Dune, and
Okay.
I've never seen Blade Runner, which
Oh, wow.
yeah. So when I saw that Sean Young was on the poster, I was like, wow, she was in the original Dune too. That's crazy. And then I realized, no, it's just the two boy movies that I haven't seen. So
Yeah. I mean, she, I guess, might have counted as a sci-fi icon, but I kind of know what happened to her. I don't know if you know, like, the
what
story.
happened? Did she go crazy at some point?
Yes, she did. She campaigned so hard to be Catwoman. I think she low-key stalked Tim Burton. And I think that might have been what maybe put her career on ice for a little bit.
Oh.
But yeah, that's around the time of Batman Returns. Like, I think that she like sort of maybe ambushes him. I'm sorry, I'm totally slandering her. I should have checked all this stuff out first. But my memory of it is that she kind of ambushes him on a late night talk show in a Catwoman getup.
Oh.
And it's just like too far.
Honey, no.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah. So Sean Young is, I guess, kind of, yeah, sure. She's totally a sci-fi icon. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. And I thought she was awesome in this movie. Her hair, makeup, and wardrobe team did her absolutely no favors whatsoever.
Not at all.
But I loved how much she did not give a shit. She was just like, fuck you guys. This is my paycheck. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yeah, she digs into it pretty hard.
Yeah, she does. So knowing nothing about Dune, this is going to be rough for you. That's all I got to say.
Here are my Dune credentials. I've seen the David Lynch Dune a bunch of times. Saw it in the theater, then snuck in to see Karate Kid because it wasn't super great.
Right.
I've read the beginning of Dune at least 3 times, but I've never finished the book. It's very descriptive.
You probably
then
could have
finally,
taken
yeah.
those second time, the second and third time to go and finish the middle and then the end.
They were decades apart. I think the first time I tried was around when the first movie came out, so I would have been 10, which is just completely over my head.
Right.
Although I know a lot of people read those kinds of books at that kind of age. So,
But not you.
I mean, I read some of it, but not all. And yeah, and I saw the most recent movie, so I kind of know Dune. My roommate is a Dune head, so I know Dune pretty well.
All right. Well,
So we're it's a nice. It'll be a good
Yeah.
buddy cop vibe.
my first thoughts. Okay, wait. First, did they say what year it was at the beginning? If they did, I missed it.
Didn't. No, I'm pretty certain because I was like, oh, I should be reading these credits, and I didn't see a year. So if they did,
All right. They
my reading
mentioned
comprehension is eh.
they mentioned that Rebecca was 5th generation Space Force.
Yes, they did.
Which means what, like 100 years in the future? Is that
Probably
too far?
so. Yeah. So And I guess just so you know, I'm just now picking up that this is like Space Force that we actually have.
Yeah.
So, right. Gotcha.
Because the future is right now, Jake.
Right. Because I was like, I did write Space Force down a bunch of times and I just never made the I was like, boy, that's a pretty crappy name. You think they come up with a better. Anyway. But yeah, I just tumbled onto the fact that this is actually supposed to be like.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, probably 100 years.
Okay.
I guess.
Let's go with that.
We're still having relatively hot conflicts with the Russians, for example. So
how is we don't even hate them that much right now. Well, I guess a lot can happen in 100 years. Though.
Yeah, a lot can happen in 100 years.
So my first thoughts to the opening shots were, oh shit, this is going to be Tremors. I mean, and I don't know if Dune is actually a Tremors thing too, but I was excited for Tremors.
Well, I felt like, here's the thing. This movie mentions its relationship to the fact that it's a Dune ripoff about 3 times.
Okay.
Total.
How's that?
Right?
I don't.
They say like, oh no, is it on the planet Dune? I think a couple times, and then that's it. So they could have literally called this like, let me tell you about sandworms, and had no connection to Dune, and I don't think anybody would have noticed.
Right.
To be completely honest, like that, because I was thinking about the fact that it's like, okay, but it's also kind of just Tremors.
Right.
So yeah,
they didn't mention
Dune doesn't own sandworms.
Yeah, they didn't mention any spice.
No.
Everything was orange though, so there's
right.
Look.
I feel like that's a color correction thing, and they could have just as easily made it blue-green.
Oh, yeah.
And, whichever. Because it was probably shot, in Death Valley if they had the budget.
Absolutely. They've just put a filter over it in editing. There was nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless they were actually on Mars or something, but I don't know.
Right.
The Russian guy's talking, and he has no subtitles.
I was like, did they forget the subtitles? Am I meant to not understand? Are they on that level?
We hate them so much. We have erased their knowledge of their language.
Yeah, it's weird.
And
I think they forgot. I'm pretty sure they just forgot.
Maybe.
Oops.
It is brand new, so they haven't had a chance to
exactly.
go back.
Exactly. There'll be a version 2.3 that'll drop with the Russian subtitles scene that everybody wanted.
All the what are the video games called?
Oh, Reduxes, remakes, whatever.
I want to say graft, but that's not it. God damn it, when there's a mistake in a video game and they have to do an update.
Oh, patch. Yeah, patch.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was a good joke that I made.
Hot fix.
Okay, the beginning of this movie, I took very little notes, and I really didn't understand what was going on, because it was like they just threw me in there, and they were in space, and people are arguing and bickering, and it was irritating for me. And one of the, I wrote down Sean Young's line that was made me fucking love her, and that was, nobody cares. Yeah.
I was like, this is the space captain you all deserve. I did not understand any of the whole conflict. They're no, don't rescue that guy. You gotta make sure this ship is not in trouble. You're like, what is she doing? There's not what are the values of the future that we're dealing with? I generally didn't understand.
Well, obviously Russia can fuck off so hard. That's the main moral of this story.
Yes.
Until the end.
Yeah, right, exactly. But then I was Team Astrid for a long time in this movie until I wasn't.
Yeah, absolutely. Was that when she started to mention her great-great-grandmother's still that she made moonshine out of every 5 minutes?
I think it's when she just doesn't know how to handle people pressing her because she's been drinking. I'd be like, look, we're in a garbage scow. I just got through an asteroid field. You're a criminal. I'm a criminal. We're all criminals. I had a drink. Relax.
Literally less than a shot. So you can just shut the fuck up.
after I landed the spaceship. So, and she doesn't even bring
With
that
an
up.
anchor, thank you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What do you think? We're just jumping all over the place.
No,
but
it's fine.
what do you think? What does a spaceship anchor weigh roughly? If a spaceship weighs, I don't know, so much, then the anchor would also have to weigh that much.
And also, it's just dragging through sand. It's not like it's picking up anything and making any sort of force. Like that's dry
Right.
sand.
Right.
That's
yeah.
not
No.
soil. No roots. Anchor.
It's space anchor. Drop it right through the planet.
And then there's a super long scene where they meet the crew, and it's like, here's my personality. I'm the quirky lesbian, although it's never mentioned, I'm pretty sure.
Oh my God. So yes, keep going.
Then there's, I've been in, the Space Force has been in my family for years, and I don't like you because you did bad stuff and whatever. And then,
Right.
and then there's the dude who's just like, hey, what's up? And that was his
Brad.
personality.
Hey, I'm Brad.
And Astrid
Brad
hates
was
them all.
cool.
Oh yeah, he was great because
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
He was just there.
Yeah, okay, so that sequence where there's on the ship and she's getting dressed down and sent to hard labor, and then they meet the ragtag crew that they like. Ronnie is definitely really into Astrid.
Oh,
like I'm
for
pretty sure. Like
sure.
there's heavy chemistry there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that section I dubbed Dollar Store Galactica. Because it looks like they're going for that vibe, but they don't have. It's not. They don't have it.
Oh, that's weird. They go and they're like walking through the space garage. And
Exactly. Are we about to talk about the fake out?
where they're like, oh boy, is this my ship? And then someone else is like, nope, it's the one behind it. So this, it's the exact same ship, only dirty.
Except for we just let it fall into horrible disrepair for some reason. That ship, the doors don't close.
They're futuristic doors that close with mechanics and gears.
But she still has to push it closed to get on the bridge. I'm pretty sure spaceship doors have to close. I don't know a lot of things about spaceships.
There were
but
also
one thing I know.
there were also a lot of wires hanging from the walls. I assume those were supposed to be inside the walls, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I did just watch a Voyager where Captain Janeway had to pry a door open, but she also had to laser the lock unlocked so she could do that. So that was on purpose. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
And this is a one-time thing. They're not like, here's your new ship you're gonna go to space with. It's a piece of crap. It's probably gonna kill you.
Good luck in outer space. Here's your anchor.
Yeah. Brad, I'll drop it for you.
Thanks, Brad.
Yep.
Then before they take off, Mission Control, I don't know, is that Mission? I don't know. They're
Sure.
like, hey, you've got a huge asteroid field on the way there. Watch out for that. And they're like, cool, sure. And then they get to it and they're like, what the fuck? What's this asteroid field coming from? You were warned. You were fucking warned.
You were warned. And the pilot is good old asteroid Astrid, so she flies right through it, as is her. Turn off the safety features. I'm flying in.
Also, they said skis so many times in this movie.
They did.
And I don't know why. I don't know if that's a thing. It just seemed weird to me. Like
Yeah.
it was at landing gear. Was it?
I think that was the idea, but it didn't look like any skis I'd ever seen.
No, because they had an anchor.
when they dropped it.
Because they had an anchor.
They had an anchor, and so I think the idea was they dropped the anchor and then they deployed the skis, and that's how they would land on like a water planet, right? But there's no skis out, so it just skids on its bottom.
And it's a desert.
That's a check in the mail later. You're gonna have to cash it.
Check
Plot
out
point. Yeah, exactly.
I expected this I expected the special effects to be way worse in this movie, and I was pleasantly surprised. I'm not saying they were perfect,
a little, yeah,
but they were pretty good.
not impressed, but I wasn't like, oh, these are terrible.
Right. Until they got inside the cave, and then I was like, that is the green screen scene I've ever seen in my life.
My favorite, that, and I totally agree with you. It is like Hobbit on a budget, where they're just like huddling, and then they just put a, like a zoom background of some stalactites and stalagmites behind them.
And they're like walking forward, but they're obviously
run.
Not in place. You have to go forward, you guys.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But my favorite thing in that, I don't know if you caught it, because I almost did it, is that because they didn't have an actual physical space and they had to simulate that they're running, they made a miniature that looked not much like what they were in, and then they just like moved the camera through it like they were running down a hallway. I was like,
wait,
that
are
is...
you talking?
I wasn't even mad at it.
Are you talking about the POV shot or the one where they actually show them running?
No, it's a POV shot of running, and it's definitely a miniature.
Yes, it looked like a virtual reality roller coaster ride.
Exactly.
I
and also
loved it.
Nothing like where they were. No. Also, it was square when they clearly kept showing it was round, which I was like, why are you in Worm's house? First of all,
Worm
you're at
lives
Worm's
there.
house. Yeah. Get out. I don't think you could get in here in these huge circular caves.
Oh, it's because they're on rocks. It doesn't go through rocks until it does.
Wrong. It does. And then nobody dies. I felt that's the other thing that was really strange about this movie.
Right.
Super low body count.
Wait. Yeah, well, they had to kill the black woman because she's a black woman.
I know, right? I thought we were beyond that.
I thought Asylum was beyond that because they usually give like give the higher ranks to people of color in Asylum. At least I've noticed that lately that they started doing that.
Right.
And this one they're like, oh, we've done that enough. We can go back to the old stuff. It's fine. It's fine.
She was maybe gonna rip them off, so it's okay.
Right.
But also they sort of introduced like that turn, right? Like they keep wanting to turn the movie into Aliens.
Yeah.
Where they're like, ha ha ha, they're there under false pretenses, and here's the real plan. So they're like, this ship's worth this incredible amount of money for some reason, because it's not full of spice, because there's no spice mentioned.
It's because it's made out of space metal. I don't know.
Right. Exactly. Just the scrap alone is worth this.
Okay. And then they said that it was worth like 100 billion, I think is what I wrote down.
Right. Yeah.
In 100 years, do you think 100 billion is a lot of money?
Yeah, I feel like it's like a pretty nice like 10K pay cut or paycheck. You know what I mean? Like it's not that much, right? I don't know. We still have dollars in 100 years from now in our weird global conflict, I guess.
Why are we not post scarcity?
Yeah.
I mean, we are.
If you're going to if they're going to rip off the Star Trek logo, which they do on their thing, but that's also Space Force, right?
Again, it is.
Am I critiquing my own reality? Okay, because they have the little Star Trek insignia. Okay, but if they're going to, then we should be heading at least towards post money.
Yes.
This is ridiculous.
Especially in the military.
Well, yeah, because I was thinking about like how do we build all those enormous solar arrays that they show that are like, oh no, that's a one-man operation.
Oh, it's because the Russians did that, and fuck the Russians.
Oh yeah, they kind of blow it. Yeah, I get it.
They keep showing at the very beginning. They show a volcano that's about to erupt, and then they show it intermittently across the board. I'm like, we get it. It's gonna go.
It's like this isn't tense enough. Let's put a clock on it.
Yeah.
Which is it's so weird because there's already so much going on. And then if I'm not mistaken, the volcano is a total red herring, right?
No, it goes off at the end, but they escape fine. Like they weren't even like working on getting away from it. It was just like a great coincidence that they actually were leaving at the exact same time. Also, to be fair, I also did always forget about the volcano when they were not showing it. So I guess it makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like I say, I feel like they just picked one too many devices. They didn't need it. Like they were fine with like, oh my God, it's space worms or sandworms. Sorry.
Sandworms that can smell your blood. How did they come up with
That's
that?
an incredible sense of smell.
Like they
and
found-
yeah. Also, they also can hear just like the Dune ones too.
Oh,
Which they add after the fact. That was like, well, pick one.
Also, yeah, no, they find the other team that they were trying to rescue. Well, all spaced out, but the woman, Marilyn, she's given her all, and she is. I had so many issues with this scene, and I don't know if we're even there yet, but I'm doing it.
Yeah, it's fine. We're there.
Yeah, they know, like, they don't know what's going on. They don't know about these worms, but they do know that they can smell blood. They do know that they eat iron.
Yeah, you're talking about Marilyn's like exposition dump. Like, here's what we know so far to move the story along.
Right,
okay,
right.
I have a comment about that too. Go ahead.
And that's also the second time that Astrid brings up that her great-grandmother, which I feel is missing a whole lot of greats in there if this is 100 years in the future.
Right, yeah.
Her great-grandmother distilled moonshine in the Prohibition, which is like, would have been like about 200 years in her time.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So she's got some really good DNA.
Yeah, there's a couple greats missing in there for sure.
But,
the heirloom moonshine is like one of the best little like story movers in there. Like,
yes, and she offers it to Marilyn. She's got her flask, her antique flask.
And Marilyn is also like inappropriately suspicious of the fact that she's drinking it. You're like, wait a minute, you're drinking that? Like, I don't think that's cool. Can I hold on to that for you? Right. You're like, we are probably gonna die in the belly of a sandworm. Can I have a drink?
Thank you. Why are you fucking judging me for my pull off of this flask?
God.
Just settle down. I'm gonna get a little toasty.
And maybe you could try to walk so we can get out of here instead of having this stupid crisis. What, have you been saving it for 4 days? Okay, here's my point. My favorite part of that is she's like, there's 4 of them. And I'm like, how do you know there's 4 of them? Do they wear different hats? Do they have like a different personality trait? Like, there's just, you're going to be like, there's friggin' worms everywhere. I don't know how many. Or do they all 4 of them stand up, like wave in a line? Like, how would you know? And then she's wrong because there's 5.
I did not clock any of that. I was like, yeah, 4 worms. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was like, how would you know that there are 4 worms unless that you saw 4 worms in your line of vision? They look pretty much like a worm.
And
they're not like
all the same size except for
calico.
Like 1.
Right, you know. I thought that was super funny.
Also, the fact that there was more than one of them was shocking, as if just one of these, any animal could exist on a desert planet.
Right.
It
Exactly.
Just exists.
It's the local, what do you call it? Fauna, you know? So like there's going to be probably, I don't know, thousands, maybe millions.
At least 2. Just at least. Say it's an Adam and Eve situation.
Right. Exactly.
At least.
Right. These are the insomniac sandworms, by the way, because the other ones are all asleep. We thought they were asleep. They were in hibernation sequence.
Are you talking about back on Space Unit where they're like, what are they doing awake? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, well, you know, bears hibernate, but they still kind of sometimes may come out.
And there's a volcano, so it's like got an alarm clock.
Exactly.
My one note is, great grandma was a moonshiner. We fucking get it.
Yeah, we So you have a complicated relationship with alcohol. We gotcha. Can we talk for a second before we get too far about Astrid's regulation flight braids that she has? Because that's like normal. That's part of the gig. Like you have to do that if you're an space EMT pilot or whatever.
You can't have your hair over both of your ears. So.
Right. It can't flop over your eye angularly and stylishly over both eyes. You have to pick one.
I have a theory about this. I think that the director was like, we're going to give you a really like edgy futuristic haircut that no one has right now, where it's just shaved on one side of the head. And she's like, okay, counterpoint, one braid.
Exactly. Counterpoint, I have a Spiegel shoot on Tuesday, so you can't do that. So what about a braid? I messed up pretty hard because I didn't check. Did you notice we didn't talk about the directors?
Oh, I never do.
Okay, well, let's talk about this. It's worth noting that it is a 2-director movie, which is usually
not a great
sign. Yeah, so it's Glenn Campbell and Tammy Klein, and I didn't do my due diligence because I really wanted to see if Tammy Klein was Astrid.
Oh, that's
I
good.
felt like there was some kind of like homie hookup going on.
Yeah, like someone was like, I want to write this movie.
Yeah.
Where I'm the hero, but also kind of rough and tumble.
Exactly.
And also my great grandmother, she's like a moonshiner.
Shout out Meemaw. Okay, so Tammy Klein is the AI voice, so she did get a role in the movie, but I believe Emily Killian is Astrid.
And Glenn Campbell, the famous country singer, is
I know
one.
that felt like a pseudonym.
What?
That felt like somebody, because it's spelled exactly right. It's 2 N's, I think. So so I that felt like maybe somebody else directed this and was also really into Glenn Campbell. And it was like, take my name off this thing. Put Glenn Campbell. Yeah,
what do you want us to put?
Mind. Yeah. I don't know.
Johnny Cash.
No, that's people will notice that. All right, Glenn Campbell. Merle Haggard. No, yeah, Glenn Campbell.
What's the ready for a football guy? That guy. Okay, I really love the sandworms. Oh no, it wasn't $100 billion. It was 300 billion.
Right. Yeah, it was 3. I feel I'm embarrassed to say that I remember it was 300 billion. And was it? I don't remember her name. Rebecca. I was like Roxanne. Yeah, Rebecca's cut was 100 million, and she was gonna give Ronnie 20%, so 20 mil, I suppose.
That's so not
and then
important.
Also, they were gonna do it because Ronnie is very thirsty.
She is. I love her so much.
Yeah.
I looked up IMDb, and she was also in Aquarium of the Dead, which I did a couple of months ago, and I don't remember her at all.
That's pretty funny. I actually thought she was relatively good. Her and Brad, I thought were like the
Ronnie.
2 people. Yeah.
I want to hang out
those
with Ronnie.
2 were okay. Yeah, she was. I saw her. She was doing good stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I want to see her do a real legitimate movie.
Right.
Not that Asylum's not.
No, of course not.
But
you gotta get gigs. That's how it is.
Right.
So
Right.
there's no stain on your name being in an asylum. It's cool.
So the worm chases her into the ship.
Right.
What?
I know.
That was great.
The Aliens. Remember Aliens?
Yeah.
This movie's pretty much like Aliens, kind of.
It was so great that porthole into the ship was exactly the size of that worm, so it could go right in. Not like human size, but like good fat worm size. Thank God.
Yep.
And then it got cooked.
And then but my favorite is she sort of runs around the counter and then looks back. Like, did it follow me literally around the corner? Yeah, I think it probably did. You might want to put some distance between you and that sandworm. Just saying.
But why though?
Yeah, or why not? Just fry it.
Which she did.
That brings up another thing I wanted to ask about.
Yeah.
Do you think at this point, like there's a fetish essentially for people that are like really into women in like fake space fatigues with their boobs like kind of out?
Oh, you mean where they undo the top and they're wearing a tank top?
Yeah,
with
and
no
they're
bra?
like, brum, brum, brum. Like, is that like a thing? It's got to be a thing now. It's a trope.
Be. It totally is, because they're like, oh, I'm so hot, but
Yeah.
I can't take off my whole jumpsuit.
But what about this strangely futuristic tank top I'm wearing that's very revealing?
I forgot to wear my bra today because it's the future.
Exactly. Like it comes up again and again and again.
Every time. Okay, both Marilyn and the guy that they save in the cave or whatever.
Yeah. With the magically broken leg.
I love that cave so much.
Yeah.
They both have fucked up legs. And I'm like, these guys were like, they had a conversation beforehand. And they're like, if anything happens, pretend like you fucked up your legs so people will carry you. Mm-hmm. Deal. Got it. Done.
I know. I felt like they also had like a bad guy turn coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought
I was
that
like,
they were
there's
like,
something more to this behavior that like, oh, my leg.
oh, somebody carry me across the scene.
Yeah,
where
so we have to be back of the ship as soon as humanly possible. Let's draw this out with 4 meltdowns.
the scene where they're all in the cave and they have to like jump over like a 1-foot crevice.
Oh yeah, that's where I thought Brad was gonna get it. I was like, oh, it's the first death. Okay, here we go. Sorry, Brad, I did like you, but you're out of here. No, he just jumps over, no problem.
Yeah, because
that's the whole thing where they're like, they can't get through the rocks. Oh my God, they're getting through the rocks.
Oh, but in that same cave, there's a hole they're going to go under or through, right. Brad and the guy. And
that's the best.
Obviously not an entrance for a giant worm at all.
What could have made that wormhole? That hole.
Ancient Planet Dunians that needed a well, obviously.
Right.
And he's like...
That's the worm's elevator, dummy.
They tie a rope around his waist, which is gonna fucking hurt if you take that down a hole. And then he's limping down, not even. He puts like 1 foot into this hole, and they're like, oh no, the worm's coming. Pull me up. Dude, you've got 1 foot in there. You're not even completely in that fucking well. And it takes him like a full minute to pull him out of it. It's like, you could have just like, what?
Pushed yourself out.
Yeah. I love that cave so much.
Yeah, that scene was amazing. And I did love that they also happened to luckily have a grappling hook that they can shoot up. And it will support roughly 400 pounds of human weight. That's really a good grappling hook. And then that he one-arms it. So he's got his own weight plus another human on him, and he one-arms it up. I'm like, okay, so you can lift 400 pounds with one arm. That's pretty good, bruh.
He's in space stuff. He's trained for that.
He's in space shape. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I was just like, why did just both hands? Like, then I'd be like, okay, it's heavy, but he's trying hard.
Maybe he took that anchor off the back of the ship, and that was the grappling hook.
Maybe that was it. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it looked identical.
That could be. Those scenes are all ridiculous.
I totally forgot about this part. They get through that hole, and he gets the grappling hook, and he like rodeos it, whatever, and hooks the worm, and they both jump on the worm to travel to wherever. He's like, no, look, I can control it with this hook.
Then all of a sudden it turns into a homoerotic telenovela.
Yes.
Where like the convict bad boy is like on the worm, but the worm's just chilling. It's not moving yet. He's like, come on, get on. And the square, like engaged hunky guy is like, I don't know if I'm ready to ride the worm with you, and grab out of your muscular sides while the wind whips through her hair. It was really funny. No, ride the worm with me. Just not barely veiled.
No, that was a thin veil. That was like 3 strings slightly woven together. And
no, man, they're just surfing worms. Just 2 bros surfing worms. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're surfing worms.
Yeah. It was that scene with that dynamic was bizarre and great.
All my notes are like, I love Ronnie.
Yeah, Ronnie is kind of the best in the whole thing. I do have to say.
I started at one point writing Chekhov's volcano in my notes just to see how many times I could write it, because it's not actually Chekhov's volcano if they keep showing it. but
Right, yeah.
still, using the word Chekhov makes me laugh. So screw you guys.
Yes, Ensign Chekhov's volcano. I only know Star Trek's and Star Wars's.
Okay, so we're back with Marilyn and Astrid, and Astrid's like, "What do you got in your backpack?" she's got a 5th grade science lab.
Seriously.
I've got test tubes and petri dishes, and it's all like a Bunsen burner, and why do you have this?
Why would you keep that stuff?
Why is it not in your lab?
Or like, say you're out and so your spaceship's been swallowed by a sandworm. In theory, obviously it shows up later, but this is another thing that movie does a lot, where it like really doesn't commit to like actual events happening. So we've seen the sandworm swallows the ship, right? Isn't that like the beginning of the movie? I think it like globbles it all up. Like they're all like, whoa, and it cuts away or something.
I think they just insinuate it.
Okay, so maybe they don't totally commit to it, but my understanding was it was swallowed up. Anyway, but your ship is like gone and you're stranded on this planet and you have all this like science crap in your bag and it's been like 4 days and you're hot and you're walking around trying to escape the 4 worms you keep seeing. And like, at what point you're just like, get this trash out of here.
No, I'm gonna need these test tubes.
Yeah, like you're doomed at that point. You're thinking like, I'm going to try to survive as long as I can, I guess, if you've made it that far. But yes, make sure you keep all the weird science gear that you're probably not going to use.
Right.
Your bag as a weight.
Yes. I also have questions about why we're still using test tubes and petri dishes 100 years in the future. Where are our tricorders? Where are our laser
built into our already existing smartphones?
Yes.
Like, what are you doing? No, we still do it the analog with scrape. I mean, I guess at some point they'd still do some of that, but it just seems absurd.
It's whatever, semantics, but still.
At what point did you figure out Sean Young was going to rescue?
I did not. I was hoping till the end she was be like, nobody cares. I don't care.
Okay. Yeah, I figured it out around when Rebecca says she's from the IBC. I don't know what it is she says from. She mentions some group.
KGB. I don't know.
Right.
They're probably Russian.
Yeah, when she mentioned she's from some shadowy organization is when I was also like, Sean Young's going to save the day. I was like, I know how this movie ends. Because she asked for a rescue ship and the dude's like, nah, crew expendable. And I was like, okay, so we've got 2 aliens turns here. And so that's going to make, oh man, what was her name? Cassie? What was Sean Young, Commander?
Oh yeah, it was Cassie.
Was it? Okay.
I think so.
It was something. Let's find out definitively because it is really funny that she accidentally keeps referring to her by that name.
Yeah, that was. I don't want to say it bothered me because it didn't, but it was just like she's your like officer in. No, you would say captain and what is a major higher than a captain? I have no idea. I'm legitimately asking, but I didn't think it was Chase. I need CH, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they sort of imply that this is like more Dollar Store Galactica. Like they imply that they have the backstory the same way that Apollo and Starbuck have that backstory from Flight School. Remember? I don't know if you've watched. I haven't. I couldn't remember if you'd watched BSG. But yeah, so they're just lifting a plot element and then like sort of, changing it around a little bit.
Thank you
for this. Yeah. Yeah.
At what point does the worm fight the ship? Oh no, I know what it was. One of the worms comes up and they're outside the ship, like having a normal conversation. Mm-hmm. I guess I don't really remember.
Right.
But he drops like this anchor arm on top of the worm's head and splats it. And I was like, I am here for this. This is what I am here for.
Yeah.
It was great.
But that is also, he kills the fourth worm. That's the fourth
Was that
worm.
the fourth one? Well, then
I was
they're
counting.
In the
I
clear.
could tell. Yeah. That's what I thought. I was like, okay, we're good.
End of movie.
Obviously, there's a couple more worms, and that's fine. But I don't think you should put a number on it for the audience to count. Because I was like, number 4, we're done. Get off the planet. Save the $300 billion bounty ship. We're all good.
Last week I watched Dead 7. Do you know anything about it?
No.
It's a bunch
Is it like
of,
Ocean's 11 but zombies?
It's like Magnificent 7 but with zombies, and
Okay.
3 different boy bands are the actors.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was a sci-fi movie, and obviously Asylum. And
Yes.
why did I bring that up? Oh, because they did it in chapters. I love it when a movie is a chapter.
Oh yeah.
And one of the
Makes
chapters,
you feel smart, like you're reading a book.
yes, I love to feel smart. And they one of the chapters was named The Seven. I think they showed 4 people, and I don't
Yeah.
think there was ever 7
Guys,
people.
if you're using a number, you gotta live up to that number. I'm sorry. That's like a rule. That's a pretty basic rule.
Yeah.
That's not even like a movie snob thing. That's like,
That's
come
like
on, man.
we're paying attention, kind of.
Enjoy these 12 donuts, and you get like 4. You're like, wait, hey man, what are you doing?
I love Sean Young so much. I can't tell if she doesn't give a fuck or if she's an awesome actor. I think it's a little of both.
Yeah, probably both for sure.
Anyway, Astrid goes and she gives Marilyn her oxygen thing, and she's like, "What about you?" I mean, it's just a face mask. Like, she legitimately just places it on her face. There's no reason they couldn't share. There's no reason anyone had to sacrifice their oxygen.
Also, like, they do say earlier in the movie that there's more oxygen on the ship. So Astrid, like, I know you're a real good pilot and stuff, and you want to be like the best space EMT, but I think your preparation could use some work. You might
Yeah.
want to like remember to grab the extra oxygen packs
Yeah.
before you blow up the spaceship. Just saying.
Didn't they also say, "Hey, we should grab the extra oxygen"? And she's like, "Fuck that, let's go."
And he's like, no, that's a bad idea. We should keep just the meager oxygen we have and walk miles from our spaceship.
My bag is full of moonshine. I don't have time for this.
Why is your bag full of moonshine? Do you not have quarters, a bed you can hide that under? No, because it's like if you're carrying your moonshine over oxygen, like, let's talk about this as like a substance abuse type of thing.
Sure.
Like, I feel like maybe you're choosing moonshine over oxygen, if that's the case, and that's a pretty you're under some control. I think you should leave the moonshine under your bed.
You're choosing death is what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they even showed the flask, but I imagined it was just like a giant Ziploc bag, chock
Right.
full.
Yeah, I thought it was like a Pee-wee soccer mini Gatorade keg.
The little spout that she brings out.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was picturing, like a little plastic keg full of 300-year-old moonshine or whatever. That somehow
Probably.
miraculously still exists and hasn't been drunk up
Evaporated.
so long ago. But yeah, that's the motivation for her to that's her big she goes for it scene. She just to the upper balcony. She's playing to the upper balcony. What is going on in that scene where she's yelling at the camera and just having a meltdown, and you're like, but we know Sean Young's on the way already. We already saw her in the spaceship, so we know. So it's like, it just doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't work for oh wow, she's really losing it, because it's like,
You're fine.
down.
Everything's
Chase
fine.
is gonna do it. Yeah.
Okay, so Marilyn and Astrid are running up to the survivors, or walking, limping, whatever.
Yeah. Right.
And they see another beautiful green screen scene, because the extra people, they see them coming, and Marilyn's fiance is like, "Hey, it's them."
Yeah.
And
It's
stands
Harley.
there.
He's my favorite one. That's Harley and Marilyn really make out pretty good in this movie. I don't know what happened off camera. Maybe they had a really rough time of it.
Yeah.
But mostly they drag them down, slow them up, and
Yeah.
then get exactly what they want.
Yep.
So good for them.
Yeah, they're gonna have a nice wedding.
Yeah. Mai Tais on the beach or moonshine on a sand dune.
Oh, moonshine! It's an antique moonshine. Obviously, we're gonna do that one.
Right.
So they take off in their spaceship or whatever.
Yes.
Oh, what I didn't mention before is Marilyn. Previously, we saw her test tubes. And she needed those test tubes so they could make
Right.
Molotov cocktails.
Right. Yeah, I know. Right. That is the only reason.
And moonshine. Yeah. So thank you for bringing that all together, story writers. Okay. So, and then they take off in their spaceship. Worm comes and grabs the spaceship.
Which
right?
is like the fourth time this has happened now.
Yeah.
Like it's at least the second where they're
Yeah.
like, those ships need anti-worm, defenses because like it's like it just grabs the front of the spaceship and then the spaceship is fucked. So you're like, well, that's what are you gonna do?
Don't they have energy shields or something?
Something, a little gun.
And Astrid's like, hold on, I got this. She gets one of her Molotov
Right.
cocktails. Yes.
Let me ask real quick, what happens to Chase? Because all of a sudden she's like, no! And then she falls, and I was like, what? I didn't back it up, and I probably should have, but I didn't understand.
Yeah.
But I understood that she had to be out of the picture
First,
for the moment.
Astrid
Yeah.
goes and throws a Molotov cocktail in the worm's mouth and says, bon appetit. And then...
That's another one of my favorite parts because she throws it into the worm's mouth, but the ship is being held in place by the worm's mouth.
Uh-huh.
So this is what I was talking about earlier, where I feel like they kind of like to have it both ways. So you get like a real nice shot of the worm's mouth, but if the worm let the ship go and is now facing like what Chase says, like, if it lets me go, I'm taking off. So, like, what happened to that plan? Because that's a really good plan.
Right.
I feel like that was an ad lib by Sean Young.
What the fuck is going on with this script?
This is dumb. We go if we can. That's how this whole thing works. But yeah, so all of a sudden it becomes a big toothy smile, and yeah, bon appetit is her smile, you son of a bitch line.
Exactly.
I guess.
Exactly. She was
Yeah.
pushing so hard for that. She overplayed her hand on that one. And then so what happens next is something falls on Sean Young's head. I don't know what it is.
Okay, so there was a fall, there was a
And
thing.
it knocks her
over her compartment.
completely the fuck out. She's she's totally fucking out.
I like to call that scene Live Mommy Live, where she gives her CPR.
Chest compressions.
Again, I'm not a space EMT, but I am not entirely sure compressions are what you do for someone with a head injury. I could be wrong.
Well, to be fair, she did say she's not breathing. So basically, that head injury killed her.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if somebody had a head injury and they're not breathing, I'm like, I think they're dead.
Yeah.
I think that was
not.
unfortunately
That was not a
headshot.
revive the lung situation.
No, Live Mommy Live does not work in those cases.
And now the volcano erupts. Oh, and she wakes up
Sure.
later. She survives. Blah blah blah.
She's
blah,
like,
blah.
I'm good. Thank you. Here's some inspirational motivation for you for the next, I don't know, what we got, 90 seconds on this thing?
Blah, 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 whatever. Crazy. I don't remember the volcano eruption at all, but I wrote down that it was crazy. So I guess it was crazy.
I feel like I don't remember it either. So I think I was like, oh yeah, there's that volcano too happening kind of thing. Anyway.
Yeah. And that's all I have. That was the end of the movie as far as I'm concerned.
I feel like, well, the best part is that they get their own in a really ambitious end.
That's right.
The crew stays together and they turn into the space EMTs that they always wanted to be. So they're all the rescue crew, the survivors, which I felt like was, ambitious sequel building, essentially.
That made me feel like this whole movie was a feature-length pilot to a bad TV show, like one of those ones on Saturday afternoon,
Definitely.
like Xena or
Definitely.
something.
I felt like it was exactly at that level that they could. I actually think, like, I could think of a couple scenes, most of them involve Astrid, where they could have just chopped him out and it would have been probably 45 minutes and would have made like a okay Outer Limits episode or something. You're like, well, kind of a Tremors Dune ripoff, but it was all right.
But then they couldn't call it Astrid 2525 or...
Exactly.
That was a Cleopatra 2525 joke, everybody.
That was a show that existed for 10 episodes, maybe.
And
I'm not
it
even
was
sure.
the best.
But it's definitely on that
Yes.
level. Like, I think it could have been, and it would have been okay.
I would watch the shit out of that show.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, there's the sequel's probably not going to happen though, probably, right?
No,
Do they do sequels?
the only sequels I've seen are for Sharknado, I think.
Okay, yeah, because I like this crew. I think they should do more.
Yes.
Brad and Ronnie and Astrid.
I'm telling you.
Who else is in the crew? Oh yeah, Chase is in the crew too. She's like, I don't want to be a captain anymore.
Yes.
You know.
But she's not going to do a show.
It wouldn't work out. What do you get? It's going to be too many chiefs. Like Astrid is supposed to be our captain.
She could be.
So she's going to constantly be fighting with her mom, like her mom / former girlfriend.
Yes. It would be like Charlie Angel. She would be Charlie and we would just hear her voice every episode.
Okay. And that'd be pretty easy gig for
that's what I'm
Sean Young.
saying.
She could just like do it from her closet or whatever, however they do
And
it.
once a week, she just
these
like says
days.
into a microphone, "Nobody cares," and she's done.
That's perfect.
I think like they could totally. I don't want to dwell on this, but I do. They could totally make this a show if they can make Z Nation a show.
Oh,
let's
yeah, right.
Make Astrid 2525 happen.
And basically, I have a concept for it: space bringing out the dead. Did you see that the Scorsese movie with Nicolas Cage where he's like a messed up EMT?
Oh,
Just that, but in space.
Yes!
With Astrid and the gang.
I want
So they're
that.
just like fucked up space ambulance drivers. I think it would be a good show.
I think that would be
a really good
amazing,
show.
and we need to get working
Yeah.
on that.
Right? I mean, I don't work for free.
Who said free?
Asylum, hit me up.
What we do is we make the novelization and sell it on Amazon first.
Right. Okay. That's a good
I
plot.
say this every fucking
I
episode
like that way.
because we
You
always
do.
find
Okay.
shit.
A much better story to tell thinking about it for all of 45 minutes.
Absolutely.
Roughly?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, yeah, right.
So, Jake, do you have another better name for this movie?
Well, I had two. I said the first one was Let Me Tell You About Sandworms. And then the other one was The Trouble with Sandworms. Oh, no. That's right. I had this whole theory that they could have just like, there were about like probably maybe 20 effect shots in this movie, and that they did two versions, one with a sandworm and one with some other space monster. And they shot this and they were just like, yeah, we're going with the Dune cut, because they only say Dune like 3 times, but they could easily not. So they just changed the color correction to like blue or purple or something else. And then the effect shots, they just swap out, another monster. So I think it was like The Trouble with Space Monsters or something like that was my other title. If they decided not to lean into the Duniness of it.
That's good. I appreciate that.
So I had to. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite line from this movie?
Let's see. Hi, I'm Ronnie.
Wow. Yeah. I love that. That's perfect.
Yeah, she had that. That was a loaded line. There's a lot in that line. I could tell.
Yep. She did her homework.
Good. Yep.
Okay, so my movie title would have been Bickering the Movie, because they fucking bicker so fucking much. It was irritating.
A lot.
They could have cut out half that bickering. Not even the scenes, just half the fucking bickering. Because it was like,
yep,
you're not solving anything and you're just going back and forth, and shut up. I don't care.
And it made me mistrust Rebecca. specifically. Is it Rebecca? I keep getting it
No,
wrong.
I think it's Rebecca.
Yes, Rebecca. Yeah, Rebecca, like she talked so much and said so much in a couple scenes. I was like, she's going to double cross them.
Yeah.
I thought that was the whole turn. Like, that's what they set up. I was pretty sure she's going to rip them off. Or,
Right.
oh, I got to go outside and fix the thing. It's right in the blaster, the thruster. You have to put your head right in there. Like, I thought that was coming. But yeah, too much. If they cut out half of the weird arguing, I'm telling you, it'd be 45 minutes
Exactly.
long.
That's what I was going to say. They needed it to pad out the movie.
It's absolutely padding. I mean, even the Molotov cocktail scene is padding. They're like, we're there, but hold on, let's throw this at that, and then it gets it, and then it comes back like it's. Or there's a line. Sorry to go back to this, but there's a line where she's like, it didn't even work. And I'm like, what do you mean? You blew up the ship. The thing's dead. Like, what do you mean? So I feel like, did they do another shot where it was still like, wow?
Right. That was very
Or
confusing.
what
I
happened?
forgot about that. Did
Yeah.
it not work? Because it looked like it worked.
Yeah. It looks, your ship's busted, but the thing's dead though too. So it did kind of work.
And
Yeah.
my favorite line was obviously, no one cares.
No.
Oh, it's so good. I love her so much.
Yeah. It's a pretty quintessential line, honestly. And she hits it pretty hard.
Yeah, she does. Oh, I just wish they had better makeup artists and
It's the
the
hair.
wardrobe. I want to see her in that fucking jumpsuit undone to the waist in a tank top. That's what I want to see.
Right? Yeah, what the heck? That's the vibe. They messed it up. Maybe I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
I would love to know how she's in this movie. Maybe she's been working for years and I'm just not
Yeah, I
aware.
have no idea.
But I feel like I have not heard her name in a super long
same.
time.
I don't know. Jake,
Yeah.
do you have anything you'd like to promote?
You can catch, we're still doing new episodes of Date with the Bake. It's the Great British Bake Off podcast that I do with my friends Kimberly and Katie of Date with the Dateline. So that's their spinoff show and my main show. Those go up weekly whenever we can get them
Dang.
up. No schedule, but Bake Off still got a few more episodes this season, so watch it
And they
on
just got renewed.
Netflix and then listen along. Right. Surprise of all surprises. So I guess I know what I'm doing next year, hopefully.
I still have yet to watch an episode, so now I have to.
You do. Obligated.
Jake, I am so sorry, and I'm not, because this movie was kind of fun.
Right.
Even though it was kind of a mess.
I loved it. I actually, my one last takeaway is it's kind of a low-key feminist masterpiece. Because it's all women in key roles. Like
Right.
Brad does a little something, but otherwise it's
Even the shitty ones
the
are women.
ladies, space ladies. Yep.
Actually,
I mean,
aside from the major, all the shitty ones were women.
uh-huh.
Like the men in this movie, aside from the major, they were like the damsels in distress and like
They were, yeah. Like the Russian needed rescuing, so Astrid's got it. See, I think so there's definitely something to be said for that. And a surprise that I saw it in this movie that I wasn't expecting really anything from.
And another reason why Sean Young was amazing in this movie. End
Right.
of sentence.
I hope this is the beginning of a renewed career, and also hopefully they pick up this show that we're about to put together for them.
Boy, I sure hope this overselling of Sean Young really works out for her.
I'm sure it does. Our broadcast is our reach is pretty wide,
Exactly.
so we got to be careful with
I
it.
know.
But I think Sean Young deserves it. She deserves
does. But
more work.
with a great podcast comes great responsibility. So
It's true.
okay, Jake, I will talk to you later. Thank you, everybody, guests, for listening. It's been fun or whatever. I don't know. Bye, Jake.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for joining me this week on the Asylum Case Studies. Special thanks to this week's guest, podcast professional and homie Jake Quickel, and to a very handsome Andy Slater, engineer and mixer extraordinaire. Make sure to visit our website at asylumpod.com, where you can find my link tree, which will lead you to any and everywhere you need to be regarding this podcast. While you're at it, if you found mild enjoyment in the show, I'd appreciate a rating and review on iTunes, or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help me out too. Unless you're going to be a dick, then no thank you. I'm Tressa Slater, and until next week,